The answers for all of these should be 24, 100, 56, and 36. The answer on the first one is 36 and the second one is 238. Answer should be 90. Answer on the top one is 20, and for the second one you'll have 4 squared is 16, times 2 is 32, plus 2 is 34, plus 4 is 38, minus 2 is 36. Here's another one. You should have 3, and 3 squared is 9, times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28, and then add to that 2, and then 3. Should get 33. Pick a number from 1 to 5.
Isn't that twice?
Today's objectives are to add and subtract fractions as well as reduce. Alright, work this one along with me. We have 3 over 5 and then plus 6 over, we'll make it 7. What's the first thing I have to do if I'm going to add these two together? Yeah, we want to find the least common denominator. So we have 5 and 7. 35. That's right. And if you don't know how we got it, it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then 35. And if you do the 7s, it's 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and there it is. The lowest one they both have in common. On those times tables you made, those are already done for you. So you can use that row from left to right on the 5 and look at it, and then look at the 7 and see if you can find the lowest number between the two. So keep that times table out if you're having difficulty figuring out the least common denominator. Alright, it's 35. So what would I be multiplying 5 by to get 35? 7. So if I'm multiplying by 7 there, I have to do the same thing to the 3. 3 times 7 is what? 21. What am I doing here? Multiplying by 5, so I have to do that to the 6 and get what? 30. Add the tops to get 51. 51 over 35. This is 5 over 4 plus 1 over 8. What's the lowest number that they both have in common?
8.
8 is right. If you do it in terms of the times table, look at 4 and 8. 4, 8, and then 8 is the first one in the 8 row. So that's the lowest one they have in common. Do I have to change anything for this fraction? No, so you just put a 1. But on the other one, what happened? You got to double it, because if you're doubling it to go from 4 to 8, so you double 5 and get 10. So the answer is 11 over 8. Least common denominator is 10. This one doesn't change, but you're multiplying that one by 2. When you add together, you get 15 over 10, which reduces to 3 over 2. Try this one and bring it up. Least common denominator is 12. You have to multiply by 2 here, so that gives us a 4. And by 3 there gives us a 15. So the answer is 19 over 12. In this example, you have to multiply 3.5 by 2 1/4. To do this, you have to change those mixed numbers to improper fractions. So to change an improper or a mixed number to an improper fraction, you start with the number on the bottom and multiply it by this one. 3 times 2, and then add the one on top. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And you put it over the 2. What would the improper fraction be for this one? 4 times 2 plus 1 is what? Yeah, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And what do I put it over? 4. Okay, to multiply, you just multiply the tops and the bottoms. So across the top, it's 63, and across the bottom, it's 8. Now 63 over 8 is not going to be your final answer because you want to change it to an improper fraction. Or not an improper fraction, but a mixed number. So what you do is you figure out how many times will 8 go into 63 without going over. 7 times. So use that times table. It's almost like a calculator. 8 will go into 63 7 times without going over. What is 8 times 7?
56.
56. So 56 taken away from the 63 is going to leave us with 7. And you use that denominator. The answer is 7 7/8 as for the result of this. What would 2 3/5 be as an improper fraction?
11.
13 over what? 5. What would 6 1/7 be as an improper fraction? 43 over 7. That's 7 times 6 for 42, plus 1 is 43. What would 9 2/5 be as an improper fraction? 47 over 5. 5 times 9 is 45, plus 2 is 47. Put it over the 5. What would 10 7/8 be? 87 over 8. 8 times 10 plus 7 gives you that. What would 11 over 8 be as a mixed number?
1 over 3/8.
1 over 3/8. 8 will go into 11 just once without going over. So here's what we have to start with. 8 only goes in one time, so that's 8. You subtract to get the 3. Put that on the top. What would 6 over 5 be? 1 1/5. 5 goes into 6 just once. That's where this comes from. and you have 1 left over. So put that there. What would 25 over 4 be?
6 over 2 fourths.
4 will go into 25 6 times without going over. And how much? What do you have left over if you go 4 into 25 6 times is how much? 4 times 6? What is 4 times 6? 24, so you have how many left over? Just 1. What would 33 over 20 be?
One. $13 over
1 and 13 over 20. 20 goes into 33 once, and you have 13 left over.
Don't you just subtract?
All right, how about 44 over 11? What would that be?
4.
Just 4 exactly, because 11 goes in evenly. What would 50 over 7 be?
7 over 1/7.
7 and 1/7. 7 into 50, 7 times, which is 49. So subtract it from 50 and have 1 left over. Bring this one up, drop it off. What would 42 over 9 be as a mixed number? 9 goes into 42 how many times? 4 times.
Oh, 4, yeah.
So what is 9 times 4? 36. And the difference is what? So we go 6 over 9. Now if you had that on this answer, I'll give it to you, but there's something that can be done to this to make it simpler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can reduce the 6 over 9.
Be 2/3.
So it's really 4 2/3. Let's change 28 over 9 to a mixed number. How many times will 9 go into 28 without going over? 3 times. So we have 28, and 9 times 3 is 27. So what's the difference? Just 1. So you put 1 over 9, 3 and 1/9. How many times does 6 go into 50 without going over?
8.
8 times. So we start with 50, and now we multiply the 6 by the 8 to come up with 48, and subtract to get 2.
2 over 6.
But you got to reduce the 2 over 6. 2 over 6 reduces to 1 over 3. Seven goes into 38 5 times with 3 left over. 5 3/7. So we'll go back to the original problem, which is this, or the original type of problem, which is 3 1/3 times 4 2/5. If I'm going to multiply those two together, I have to change each of these to improper fractions. What would this be as an improper fraction?
10 over 3.
10 over 3, because it is 3 times 3 plus 1, and use the same denominator. You can even write the denominator first so you don't forget, and it's always going to be the bottom number. Yeah, and this one is going to be 22 because we have 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 is 22. Multiply straight across, left to right. 220 and then over 15. So this is a little bit high for what we've been working with, but still you do it the same way. 15 into 220. So if I divide 15 into 220, it's going to go, let's see, into 22 once, with 7 left over, which becomes 70. So it goes 4 times. So it's really 14 times. And you'll have 10 left over, because 14 times 15 is 210. So you would have this, and you would have to simplify the 10 over 15. So it should be 14 2/3. 1 1/2 times 3 1/3. What is the improper fraction for 1 1/2?
2 over 2.
2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is what? 3. 3 over 2. And what's the improper fraction for 3 1/3? 10 over 3. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 30 over 6. What does that simplify to?
24. Wait.
Answer is simply 5. 30 divided by 6 is 5.